What's up, guys? This will be the daily look ahead for June 22nd. So I'm going to be looking at GU, EU, and XAU and see what we can kind of see and whether or not there's anything that sort of makes sense for us. So right now, you can see that essentially GU is reacting to this flip zone. We do have some liquidity built up in the market. It seems on the lower time frames that we have taken from the market and basically had our order flow shift. So let's just go down onto our lower time frames to see what that looks like. So you can see where we're sort of reacting from. We've failed to take out demand levels, which in my opinion is a little worrisome. Ideally, we would like to see at least this structural point go to get us back into a pro order flow state. Like technically we have seen one demand failure, but because we've had the unmitigated zone, we've basically come up, we've liquidated, and it looks like there's a lot of liquidity built up in the market to come a little bit higher. You just have to be very, very cautious of these areas because we haven't broken a substantial area of structure. So with that being said, obviously we're trying to play into higher time frame sells potentially, but we just need to be mindful of the fact that order flow is just very, very bullish right now. And until we see some form of a break in that order flow, it would be very, very difficult for us to want to get into a position short. So ideally, the position that I would have looked for would have been with this leg right here, had this broken down and then came back up and came into the extreme and liquidated this position, using this as that liquidity to kind of support the move to push down. That would have been a more ideal sort of move for me to get involved in, but obviously that's not the case. So right now I'm kind of sitting on my hands waiting for further development. I'm not looking to trade long or anything like that. There's too much liquidity built in the market to be able to come down. So personally, I'm just staying away until I can see something a little bit clearer. If I was going to look for a long in this region, it would be underneath a liquid region, and it would be something that's unmitigated like this, possibly like this. And again, just remember, because we are leaving from supply, this would be a counter order flow move and also be trading this possibly counter trend as well. So just, again, don't get yourself too caught up with looking for longs when technically there's liquidity built in the market to be able to support the sells, as well as the higher time frame narrative with the liquidation of all of this buy side liquidity. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on GU. And again, I don't really have like a specific POI to look at right this second. What are we looking at here? Same kind of idea, right? We've come into sort of like the extremity. We've liquidated in, we've pushed down. Now we have a level of liquidity to take into potentially the high. So something like this, sweeping up and taking out these levels, that would be an interesting sort of area to start looking for PA to do something, at least in my opinion. And again, we're trading this alongside the 4-hour momentum, which is bearish. I mean, technically, let me just go back out here for a second. Completely raw and uncut here, guys, as you know. So yeah, reacting to the low, ultimately like poor reaction. Yeah, no level of liquidity to take into the POI yet. I would say that ultimately we could start targeting levels at least down into here, provided that we get the criteria we need. And then furthermore, possibly even breaking down quite a bit further, depending on, yeah, of course, how price reacts in these levels. But yeah, just targeting the next area where we can expect a reaction would probably be the best bet. If you're looking at this right now, we're reacting to the sweep. We get that nice V-shaped recovery. Like I said, the only problem I have right now is that we haven't, in fact, broken the demand zone, which makes this a little bit dicey to be able to get involved. But yeah, it's just something worth monitoring. Ideally, we would want to see a liquidation or a break of structure, whatever it might be, and then the travel back up into a zone like this to be able to take this down further. Goodness, excuse me. It's pouring rain here today, so I'm sure that's a good reason why, or the reason why I'm yawning so much, making me tired. Same thing, yeah. We got the buy to sell. We've got the initial inducement, which happens right here. Boom, liquidation in. On the lower time frame, this becomes a little bit more apparent, and this is kind of like my setup that I'm really hoping comes to fruition in the next little while. And the reason why is because this is just such a beautiful play shaping up, at least the way that I see things. So ideally, we would want to see a very sharp liquidation into this zone with no levels of nothing like this that could produce liquidity to be able to make this go higher. Ideally we'd want to see just that nice clean push into here, maybe a sweep like this, and then be able to drop this down into very, very liquid regions if we get that change of character and order flow realignment that we need on gold to be able to solidify that this would be a weak low. So this is what I'm kind of keeping my eyes peeled on, is this specific move. We could do something like this as well and sweep up into the more extreme area. But looking for criteria up in this region right here after, of course, we see a larger take on liquidity if and when that happens. So that's kind of like my daily look ahead. So if I was to kind of put on some of these alerts, I'd be looking to, I think this is a 30-minute POI, nice clean one. Yeah, you can see that nice clear buy to sell. That's kind of the area that I'm getting interested in, is right around here. So I would put my alert just below it, just so that I know like we're getting close, and I can start to set up, look for my refined POIs, all that. And then in terms of looking for the EU, like we're coming down into this level right here. The demand, like I said, I'm looking to ideally trade this short. There's a better RR trade available for us, and it is pro structure with the higher time frame move. We're just pulling back, potentially coming down a lot lower. So I would say that personally, I'm not looking to trade off of this level. This level would likely be used as inducement to be able to come deeper up into something along the lines of this. Now we could see a liquidation of these highs as well. We could also just see a break of structure, and that would probably get me into looking for something else if and when that came through. But I'm just looking at how much liquidity is built in the market. We've just taken a bunch. Ideally, we would want to see some sort of liquidation of this, possibly coming up into this region up here, and we can start potentially looking for sells depending on how we deliver into it, etc., etc. So put my alert right here. Okay, so this is kind of interesting PA for GU. It's a little wee bit different because we have no real level to take. Like, yes, we've broken. Ideally, we could maybe look for something up in this extreme to potentially come down, but we failed to take the low, which in theory means that this high could potentially be weak. So you just have to be very, very careful of that. I would say that looking for something along the lines of up in here, you could possibly look at internal structure stuff within here to look for longs up into these regions. If that's something you'd like to do, personally, it's not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to capitalize on the bigger move, and I'm more than patient enough to just kind of wait for this to kind of come up. So just to recap, I'm going to be monitoring to see what happens in and around this level. Ideally, we want to see a level of inducement, which would be a sweep into this level now, just because this high right here is now weak, in theory, just based on the fact that we could not take out this this little low right here. So now what we're going to look for is something along the lines of a push in, get some form of delivery, possibly a sweep up, and then possibly be enough liquidity to take from the market to be able to start pushing us down into the regions we're looking for. So that's kind of my thoughts. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, feel free to hit me up in the trading questions section at any time, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If it's not the same day, it'll be the following day.